Welcome aboard, applicants. Let's get to our next essay question from the first year law students exam, June 2017, question number 4. As with all essay questions, let's begin with the call of the question. The call of the question says, Betty against Albert discuss. 2, Carl versus Albert discuss. 3, Dwayne against Albert discuss. 4, Edna against Albert discuss. Yeah, in these types of situations, I think we're going to have to read the paragraph that came before this. Under what theories of intentional tort could Betty, Carl, Dwayne, and Edna bring claims against Albert, and what damages, if any, are likely to be awarded in a lawsuit brought by Betty against Albert discuss. 2, Carl against Albert discuss. 3, Dwayne against Albert discuss. 4, Edna against Albert discuss. Okay, and we know right here in this phrase, we know our area of law, tort law, and we know what specific area in tort law, intentional torts, because it tells us what theories of intentional torts could Betty, Carl, Dwayne, and Edna bring claims against Albert, and what damages, if any, are likely to be awarded in a lawsuit brought by, and then we went through that. So let's start making our answer right now. Number 1, Betty v. Albert. 2, Carl v. Albert. 3, Dwayne v. Albert. And 4, Edna v. Albert. We know what particular area of tort law is required in our answer. It's intentional torts, so let's throw in intentional torts. Okay, and okay, so making sure to put this into actually, you know what, we don't have to actually say intentional torts here. We'll keep that in mind, though. We are specifically asked to bring up intentional torts. So let's bring our question to bear now in terms of the facts, and we will read the facts now for our first read for what we call as our movie mode. Okay. Now, while working in the produce section of a supermarket, Albert accidentally dropped a watermelon, which broke open, making the floor wet and slippery. Betty, the produce manager, immediately approached Albert and loudly criticized him for being clumsy. Albert, who was humiliated, told Betty, "I quit," and pushed her in order to get past her and leave the store. As a result, Betty slipped on the spilt watermelon, fell and hit her head on the floor and suffered a debilitating brain injury. As Albert was leaving the store, he grabbed a shopping cart and pushed it violently at Carl, the store manager, who was standing nearby and who jumped out of the way. The cart missed Carl but struck Dwayne, an elderly shopper, on his back side. Dwayne, who had an unstable heart condition, suffered a heart attack as a result. In the parking lot, Albert walked around a car he believed was Betty's and used his car key to leave a deep gouge in the finish on all 4 sides of the car. As it turned out, the car belonged to Edna, not Betty. Now, under what theories of intentional tort could Betty, Carl, Dwayne, and Edna bring claims against Albert, and what damages, if any, are likely to be awarded in a lawsuit brought by? And then we know this because we've already set up our party versus party orientation. So going back up, we're going to be spotting our intentional torts. Remember, we have assault, battery, false imprisonment, IIED, trespass to chattels, conversion, and trespass to land. Now, while working in the produce section of a supermarket, Albert accidentally dropped a watermelon, which broke open, making the floor wet and slippery. Betty, the produce manager, immediately approached Albert and loudly criticized him for being clumsy. Albert, who was humiliated, told Betty, "I quit," and pushed her right here. Pushed her. That looks a whole lot like a battery to me. So let's make note of that now. Okay. In order to get past her and leave the store. As a result, now remember, you could also say that it was an assault, but remember the assault would merge into the battery. Now, as a result, Betty slipped on the spilt watermelon, fell and hit her head on the floor, and suffered a debilitating brain injury. And so, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our battery claim and parsing it out into its elemental parts: intent, causation, which is when we're talking about actual cause, causation, proximate cause, the actual act here, which is the harmful or offensive contact person of another, contact person of another, and then we want to make sure to bring up damages, which we're going to be bringing up general damages and special damages, and any particular defenses that might be applicable. Now that would fill out our template here. Now the only thing I'm using this template to copy and paste, because all the thing that's going to change from one intentional tort to the next would probably be how the causations appear, how intent appears, how the causations are raised by the facts, and the actual act, and possibly any particular defenses. But this is a great starting spot to bring up our intentional torts when they're raised by the facts, of course. So okay, so Betty v. Albert, I'm seeing battery, and don't forget now, reading comprehension. In the parking lot, Albert walked around a car he believed was Betty's. He used his car to leave a deep gouge in the finish on all four sides of the car. As it turned out, now the car belonged to Edna, not Betty. Okay. So wanted to clarify that. Now, as Albert was leaving the store, he grabbed a shopping cart and pushed it violently at Carl, the store manager, who was standing nearby, and who jumped out of the way. So Carl, it looks to me like we have an assault. Okay, and we're going to put in our template approach here. We have the intent, causation, actual cause, causation, proximate cause. Now remember, instead of harmful or offensive, we're going to do reasonable apprehension, which was evident when he jumped out of the way up here, right here, pushed it violently at Carl, right here, standing nearby, who jumped out of the way. Okay. Now coming down here, so we have reasonable apprehension, and this would be immediate harmful or offensive contact. Okay. Then make sure to throw in your damages discussion, if there were any, and then through general and special damages, and then defenses if there are any. Now, under Dwayne, let's come up here now. In the parking lot, Albert walked around a car he believed was Betty's. Excuse me, let me get the paragraph before this one. The cart missed Carl but struck Dwayne, an elderly shopper, on his backside. Okay. Dwayne, who had an unstable heart condition, suffered a heart attack as a result. So we're looking at something special in intentional torts called transferred intent. So, but what particular intent are we looking at here? I'm sorry, intentional tort we're looking at here? Well, see an elderly on his backside. So it looks to me like he probably did not see this coming. So it's most likely he didn't have the assault element present. He most likely just had a basic intentional tort battery. So it missed Carl, but struck Dwayne right here. Here's the fact right here. Okay, so we got battery down here for Dwayne. But remember, instead of it being just our intentional tort aspect, for just regular intent, we're going to be looking at transferred intent. Transferred from who to who? It was actually from the assault, Carl v. Albert for the assault, transferred from person to person in that instance, and from tort to tort. It became what was an assault became a battery. Okay, and then we looked at actual cause. Proximate cause here has a special issue. We want to look at eggshell skull plaintiff. Okay, why? Because we're dealing with the aspect who had an unstable heart condition, suffered a heart attack as a result. So it was the unstable heart condition fact that gets us thinking in the direction of eggshell skull plaintiff. Okay, and then going down and instead of it being harmful offensive contact, yep, person of another, this is battery, and then we run through our general spent damages, special damages, and then any applicable defenses. Now Edna, let's see about Edna now. Now in the parking lot, Albert walked around a car he believed was Betty's, and used his car key to leave a deep gouge in the finish on all four sides of the car. As it turned out, the car belonged to Edna, not Betty. Now, what we got here for Edna is at least a trespass to chattels, which I also would argue that it was a conversion here too, so I'm going to put that in there. But at least a trespass to chattels, and this aspect here of that, let's see here. As it turned out, the car belonged to Edna. Now remember, Albert walked around a car he believed was Betty's, and used his car key to leave a deep gouge in the finish on all four sides of the car. But as it turned out, the car belonged to Edna, not Betty. This looks to me like a transferred intent. Transferred intent from what? Actually, let me back up on that. It looks to me like we could have just a regular intent. Now, I wanted to ask our viewers here: do you think it's an intent or a transferred intent? Yeah, I agree too. I totally agree. Now, there's also the action of interference with possessory interest. Chattel of another. Okay. Oh, right, but yeah, yes, right. The conversion would not have the transferred intent aspect. Exactly right. But the argument could be made that there was a conversion, but remember, the intent requirement may be lacking in that instance. Yeah, transfer intent to chattel, but not conversion. Right. So then I'm going to put a little asterisk here. This is where the intent would be missing in a conversion argument, where this is substantial dominion and control property of another. Okay, and then we would make sure to remember in this instance, I think I would take our defenses here and bring that all down under this defense here. So this defenses would actually be for both the transfer or trespass to chattels and for the conversion. And again, the conversion has the problem with the intent aspect. Now, we want to make sure to also to put in a conclusion for each one of these. Right. Mistake of fact. Yeah, I'm looking at that in you could argue mistake. I would say you're absolutely right on that. Possibly I would actually bring that, yeah, the defenses down here. I'd say mistake of fact. Possibly. We'll see, yeah, because but here's the thing. Reasonable person. That's what we're looking at, the reasonable mistake aspect. So the argument could be made: was it a reasonable mistake? You know, it's debatable. Now, right here, okay, I'm gonna make conversion. Okay, conclusion. Make sure to put a conclusion. And conclusion. Not it would, yes, I totally agree. As coming down on that, I would definitely say it would not be reasonable. Absolutely correct. Very good. Make sure we got, yep. Okay, so looks to me like we have discussed this and reviewed it. Now let's go through real quick. We got Betty v. Albert, battery. We walked through our full parsed out elements. Okay, intent, causation, actual cause, causation, proximate cause, harmful, offensive contact, person, another, damages, general damages, special damages, defenses, conclusion. Carl v. Albert, the assault, intent, causation, actual cause, causation, proximate cause, reasonable apprehension, immediate harmful or offensive contact, damages, general damages, special damages, the defenses, throw in a conclusion. Dwayne, battery, transferred intent aspect, causation, transferred from what? Transferred from the assault that Carl, the assault that was the intent from the assault that Albert was liable for. Now, and then the causation, actual cause, causation, proximate cause. Yeah, additional issue here under proximate cause, actual scope plaintiff, the unstable heart condition aspect, harmful offensive contact, person, another, damages, general damages, special damages, defenses, conclusion. Edna versus Al. Okay, trespass chattels. Now, are you talking about actual scope plaintiff? How would you write that? When you say how do you write that, what are you referring to? Tort to tort, person to person. Excellent. Okay, so what that would say in transferred intent here, we would say intent can transfer tort to tort and person to person. And then we come down to here, the intent to cause, or the intent by Albert to cause Carl an assault transferred to Dwayne, also this intent transferred from an assault into a battery. Exactly. Thus, and I would say thus, sufficient transferred intent for Duane. I should say this, to Duane, sorry. Actually, you know what? I probably this would say sufficient transferred intent. There we go. And the reason why I'm being so short with my analysis is this is a racehorse style of a tort, and we don't have a whole lot of time to sit on an issue that is easily dispatched with like transferred intent. Now then, yeah. Here the intent by Albert to cause Carl an assault transferred to Duane. Also, this intent transferred from an assault into a battery. Okay, thus sufficient transferred intent. Excellent job on that. And then down here, concluding with Edna, we have trespass to chattels. We have the transferred intent aspect from the intent to actually trespass to chattels of up here under Betty, but in actuality it was Edna's car. So there was a transferred intent in there, and then a causation, actual cause, causation, proximate cause, interference with possessory interest, chattel of another, damages, general damages, special damages. Now conversion has that problem with the transferred intent aspect. Now the causation, actual cause, proximate cause, substantial dominion and control, property of another. Damages, again, the general damages, special damages, defenses. We argued mistake of fact, but it was not reasonable, so it would not be a viable defense. And conclusion. Okay, looks like how do you write the difference between trespass chattels to conversion? Okay, it's a level of interference. This is the trespass to chattels. Is the intent to cause an interference with the possessory interest of another's chattel. Now down here under conversion, what you'd say is conversion is the intent to cause substantial dominion and control over another's chattel, so much so that it might require a forced sale. And that's the so much so that it might require a forced sale is evidence of the substantial dominion and control over another's chattel. So does that help? One does not transfer. Exactly, it would not transfer. Exactly right. Well, I'm just showing the diagram here so that you guys are outline this for you so that you guys can see all the element parts. Okay, excellent. Okay, very good. All right, thank you so much for tuning in and talking about this, analyzing it with me, and thank you again. And so I want to put a shout out to Chess Cruncher TV. Keep chess crunching, Chess Cruncher. I also want to put a shout out to my Amazon Kindle book, Battling the Big Bad Baby Bar, Essay Basics. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you had a great time. There's going to be many more questions coming up, and we're going to have sufficient time to practice our strategy, tactics for essay writing and employing our shopping list and our essay skills in terms of torts, contracts, and criminal law. Thank you again for tuning in, and God bless.